first saw Bitcoin 2012 and I wrote that macroeconomic strategy paper on it. It was the first one ever written about Bitcoin, how to value it. And I said, listen, I think this thing could be worth, if you value it in the same way you value gold, this thing's worth $1 million.
That's right.
And let's assume I'm an idiot, discount myself by 90%. It's worth $100,000 and it was trading at $200. I'm like, this is the best macro risk reward I've ever seen in my entire career. And so I bought it then, as did many of my kind of global macro investor people at the time. I wrote it up and it went up 5x very shortly afterwards. And then collapsed 87%. My time horizon, however, was long. I'm like, this is an option. It could go to zero because it was still very early days, but I think it could be worth $100,000 and this should be a 10-year bet. So that was the idea. So like goes down 87%. I didn't have a massive amount, a few percent of my portfolio in it. It's like, fine, okay, we'll see. By May of 2017, I was up 10x from my original entry. Having seen it go down 87%, I was now 10x from my entry. I'm like, okay. And then there was a lot of confusion in the space about forking wars and stuff I didn't understand. And I could see it was like ramping up. I'm like, I'm just going to take profits. Great trade. I thought, I'm a god. I'm like George Soros here. I've just nailed it. It then goes up another 10x into this frenzy into the end of the year, that spectacular bubble of 2017. And I was fine with it. I'm like, I made 10x. I'll leave it to the next person. You know, Novo became the billionaire out of that trade. I didn't. And then the market fell and it did its usual 85% round trip. And we continued to educate people via Real Vision about it. I still thought it was I hadn't lost my faith in the idea. What I'd done is screwed up my time horizon. I didn't think that I should have kept it for the 10 years, but I didn't. So then, all well and good, I see the pandemic, crypto collapses, I buy back in at 6,500 and still hold it to this day. It went up 10x, come down, going back up. Great. Made a lot of money from it. And then about a year ago, I went back and said, what happens if I just kept my original bet, which was much smaller? I'd have made 5 times as much money. And I traded it well. I bought it low, sold it high, bought it into a dip. I would have made 5 times as much money. And then I thought, I always show the log chart, these business cycles in the log chart. I'm like, what happens if I just added my original investment every time it got to one of these business cycle lows? I would have made 25 times as much. I'm like, I completely screwed it up, even though I did well from it. So this time around, I knew we were going to get a down cycle. I didn't get the top. I thought it was going to go higher, whatever. It's irrelevant because it's the down cycle where you add that makes you all the money. So I spent all of last year buying Solana, Ethereum into the massive sell-offs because then you compound much faster. So you should be embracing the volatility if you've got a long-term view. If your view is 1 year, 1 year, 3 years, 3 months, it's much harder to deal with. It's so volatile. But when you just zoom out, use the logarithmic trend and don't freak yourself out, which is why I've tried to be the voice of reason on Twitter when everyone's freaking out. It's like, we've all seen, FTX goes bust. Yeah, Mt. Gox went bust. Mm-hmm. We've seen this, we've seen that. It's just noise. Has the adoption of this technology changed or not? No, keep going. And that was it. So it's a psychology change of understanding long time horizons. And I found that long time horizons are a superpower.
Yeah.
Because most people can't do it.
Yeah. Wait, did you ever actually look at what the actual number figure would have been?
I did, and it's not good.
You don't have to share. I probably have time for one more question, and maybe I'm looking at our notes, and again, so great to have you on, Raoul.
I'm going to ask you a question about AI, because you asked me that question, the acceleration of AI, before this one. This is even faster than crypto's adoption, because it's built on top of the internet rails that already exist, and there's zero barrier to entry apart from just paying OpenAI. And then Microsoft are going to put into every single one of their products. It's going to get to 1 billion people by by mid next year. So the acceleration of this technology plus the improvements of the technology itself are exponential squared, kind of. It's like we've never seen anything like this. No technology has ever improved at this rate. So it becomes very difficult to forecast.
Yeah.
Because we just don't know.
He detailed his predictions for the year 2024 based on his 30 years of expertise in macroeconomics and 10 years of experience in the cryptocurrency market. The exponential age's revolutionary potential, the rapidly growing cryptocurrency industry, and global macroeconomic trends were just a few of the many subjects discussed in this session. What follows is an extensive synopsis of the presentation's most salient points, as I see them. Specifically for the Eurozone and the G5 nations, Raoul expects inflation to fall in 2024. Several asset prices could see a boost as a result of this change, which could prompt central banks to decrease interest rates. He seems to have a sophisticated grasp of the interplay between economic data and market movements. According to his research, numerous economic indices, such as the ESM and the Financial Conditions Index, indicate that the economy is expected to show strong growth from 2024 to 2025, providing investors with a path through the ever-changing economic landscape. Raoul predicts a period of prosperity that will positively affect several asset classes. A whole new system is being constructed by us. New economic framework is being constructed by us. Furthermore, no one ever wanted the fourth turning. Here is what transpired. When many individuals consider the fourth turning, some envision a return to the 1950s, while others envision an alternate timeline. At the same time, right here in front of our eyes, we are constructing a complete alternative financial system atop the internet at record speed. Then above it all, we constructed this knowledge monster, a new deity. A new system is so embedded within this. To what end does that operate? Right now, I'm confused. I get the crypto angle. That is rather simple. What about the other parts? Answered on the opposite side of this fourth turning is, and like every fourth turning, it will cause a great deal of confusion, anxiety, and miscommunication, but in the end, hope will prevail. My trip to that nexus, the epicenter of crypto macro and the technological exponential era, is the story of the journeyman, and I invite you to join me on this adventure. A lot of huge ideas are present, and there's an incredible amount of action happening. And the point is, you'll be able to tune out the distractions and see the big picture if you do this. While I acknowledge that no one has all the answers, I am committed to learning as we progress. Plus, I'd like it if you could tag along. Global Macro Investor, my go-to research journal, and the Real Vision Pro Crypto tier, where Julian Biddle and I co-author Macro Insiders, have been consuming most of my time as of late. During my 19 years at Global Macro Investor, I have worked on refining my theory of global governance. You have to understand that I have two perspectives on this planet. One way is to apply the theory of business cycles. The economy's ups and downs look like that, and that is often the primary factor that determines the value of assets. Also, tech stocks and cryptocurrency fall under this category. It is applicable to all commodities as well. Yields on bonds follow the same ebb and flow pattern as the business cycle. If you are an investor, knowing the business cycle will give you a good idea of where you stand and what you should be doing at any given time. However, the major secular themes are perhaps more impactful. What truly determines your portfolio's performance, though, are the secular trends. We are also living through a really exciting period for secular themes, as we are witnessing some of the most monumental subjects that the world has ever witnessed. One is the Bitcoin supermassive black hole. Once again, this ranks as the world's quickest adoption of any technology not related to artificial intelligence. Plus, no other asset class in history has been expanding at such a rate. Additionally, the asset type with the best historical performance